Welcome to Namaste Today, a thoughtful way to start your day. I'm your host, Sensei Christopher Witecki, psychic astrologer and friend to the world. This audio blogcast is for Wednesday, January 4th, 2017. Welcome, my soul family, and Namaste. Today will be a cloudy day, very introverted, doing a lot of personal processing in your head and spiritual, but likely you will have a bit of a breakthrough, a clarity, a new vision of where you belong and where your decisions should lie. So I'll be talking about that today in your zodiac weather. And in today's tea time, Pluto power. The sun is now conjuncting Pluto and will be for the next 7 days or so. I'm going to talk about what that Pluto power means and how this year the Pluto power is greater than most years. But first, let's listen into today's mood and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather is for Wednesday, January 4th, 2017. Well, for the global forecast, I predict cloudy with some inner healing today. The sun is at step 14 in conjuncting Pluto, and the moon is still healing up in Pisces. Let's take a closer look at the planets. Well, today, my friend, Mercury actually rules the day. Step 14 is a Mercury-ruled day. That's because 1 plus 4 makes 5, and 5 is Mercury. And Mercury means, hey, we're going to get it. We're going to see something we haven't seen before. And let's not forget, Mercury is retrograde. We've been thinking inside out for several weeks now, and Mercury goes direct this Sunday. So between now and Sunday, we're trying to make our minds up about something. And today, the planets show you're going to make a major step, a major stride in understanding what it is you're trying to understand. So it's a profound step. Now, here's what's interesting. Mercury retrograde himself is back in Sagittarius and conjuncting the galactic center. The galactic center, in my opinion, is the eye of God, and I believe wherever it is in your chart shows where you have made a promise to God and the universe of what you're going to do. So having our Mercury retrograde back onto the galactic center means that as we make this decision here in the next few days with the sun crossing Pluto, we're aligning once again to our spirit. And I'll be talking more about that in today's tea time. Here's more spiritual evidence. The moon. There is a party going on right now in Pisces. Pisces is our consciousness that connects to Holy Spirit. Right now we got Venus, we got Pallas, we got Neptune, we got Mars, we got Chiron, and we got the moon. The last lunar eclipse we had was in Pisces, also step 24. So we got this party of energy. What is Pisces? It is our spiritual calling. It is our source energy and our connection to source. Sometimes it's damaged, but it is always our connection. Now, what the planets show is, as we move forward and make these big decisions in Capricorn, as our mind gets made up in Capricorn and made up in where we want to direct our life, a whole bunch of us and our part of us are listening to Spirit. And if nothing else, Spirit is getting in the way. So, major signs that Spirit is taking over. Now, if you happen to be in touch with what your destiny is, if you know what you're born to do, if you've always known what your calling is, then bingo, I'm telling you, the planets say, get on it. The spiritual calling is here. If you haven't touched Spirit, if you haven't meditated, if you haven't prayed, gosh golly, now's the time, my friend, because you're going to find you log in. It's important to be in touch with your spirit right now because the planets are showing that in the next 10 days or so, we'll be making changes, even if they're subtle, but they will have profound effect. In fact, our life will change forever in a few days. Now, having said that, that's the perfect lead way to today's tea time topic. Go steep yourself some tea, and let's have our daily tea time. Hello, my friend, and welcome to our tea time. Today's tea time topic is the power of Pluto. We are under the gravitational force of Pluto, and if you don't know, Pluto is step 0. You could say ground zero. It's when things change and change absolutely. Now, even Pluto is very subtle, I have to say. Pluto is the slowest moving planet in our solar system, and it takes a long time for us to see the effects of Pluto. That's a good thing Because Pluto is a bulldozer. It shows us where things will be torn down and will be rebuilt, whether you like it or not. And it happens so steady but so slow going, you know it's guaranteed. Well, Pluto has been plowing through Capricorn for many years now, since 2010. And that means we've been chipping away at our control. In fact, I seem to remember as soon as Pluto went into Capricorn, our financial system collapsed after George W. Bush. And that was the beginning of Pluto in Capricorn. I thought, here we go. The system and how it works is going to break down. Well, Pluto has been chipping away at what the rules are. And I think last year was the biggest year I've seen huge changes. Pluto was between step 15 and 16 through most of the year, which means we were tipping on the halfway point. And indeed, once you cross that halfway point, rules change forever that you cannot turn back on. I think the biggest evidence of this was the national elections. In the national and presidential elections, we had so many rules tip scale. We had sides that were cheating and they were exposed with email. We had sides that just refused to even play by the rules and do it whatever they want, say whatever they want, make the rules up as they go without breaking the traditional rules. So it was a jackhammer of rule changing, and I think that's all Pluto. Well, as we move into this week, the Sun is conjuncting Pluto, which means every individual, after having witnessed all this international rule changing, every individual now is going to be called to change one of their rules. Something they thought was going to be the way it was always going to be, not because they planned it out to be that way. In fact, most rules we subconsciously subscribe to and don't even realize we were subscribed to them. It's because we were raised under that system. And a lot of times we don't even know we have options. We're so blindfolded by the quote rules. But regardless, I think we're now identifying those rules, and this week, every human being on Earth will make a decision about the rules changing. Now, Pluto is at step 17. Step 17 is the 1 I love, the 7 I sense, and from what I love and what I sense, 8 I decide. I decide what I'm going to do. I decide what I should do. So the reason why this year is such a killer year for Pluto is because the Sun is making love to Pluto, or signing the contract, or kissing Pluto at step 17. That means the Sun, or our heart, is agreeing to a life or death sentence based on what our heart is telling us and what we sense, and the decision that we come to as a result. Now this can go kind of dangerous in the sense that some people make a decision, the 8, without consulting the 1 and the 7 beforehand. And those people who decide without checking their heart and who decide without checking their soul, 7, okay, they actually can make a life or death sentence decision this week, and it will be the wrong decision. And Pluto will wipe out the wrong neighborhood in their life. This is why I teach so strongly to connect to our heart. Now, I've also said in all my broadcasts in the last month how much fate is taking over, and the story you were born to live is coming to the surface. Well, here's another clue. We're kissing Pluto on our Pluto anniversary at step 17. That is spirit. So Pluto just reached 17 in the last 3 days. So right before the Sun crosses this, it got spiritual at Pluto. Before it was easygoing 16. Then it became spiritual 17. So we are going to, in a nutshell, make a decision. Some decision, and I'm encouraging you to check your heart, make sure your heart is on board and goes, I love this idea. If your heart doesn't love the idea, it's the wrong idea, okay? The second is, do you sense? Do you sense this is wrong? Do you sense something wrong with this? Do you sense? And I always have you check for what's wrong, because a wrong signal inside is so much clearer than a right. But you really should ask also, do I sense this is the right decision? Do I sense this is the right path? And if you love it and you sense it's right, then you decide. Step 8. You just say in self, okay, this is it. I'm the king or queen in my reality. I decide this is what it's going to be. And what you do is you just hold that note for the next 5 days. As the Sun crosses Pluto, basically fate takes over. the person who knows that it's ending like calls and asks what's wrong. Like Pluto's amazing in the sense that once you decide what you want to die and what you want to go away and be left with, the Pluto plows right through and finds a way karmically for everyone to be in the right place at the right time and do what they're supposed to do. Everyone falls into place. And people aren't always hurt. In fact, the people who are hurt in a Pluto transit were completely ignoring that steamroller that was slowly rolling up to them the entire time. So we got some Pluto power going on. And I gotta say, once this particular line is drawn, it is going to be smoother sailing. We'll be on the other side of the step 17 of Pluto. That means the laws and the things we're changing now is a true re-evolution. It's a true discussion of how it should be. A lot of the bottom gunk that has carried and held us back as people, individuals, and as a nation, all that gunk is being cut away with this decision. So really listen to your heart and listen to your soul, my friends, and realize that your deadline for your Pluto power is this Saturn day. Okay, my friend, that concludes another fabulous day of Namaste today. I am so grateful to be of soul service to you. I'll be back in 24 hours with more. Until then, remember I love you and live, love, be.